Welcome back to Emma ASMR. Tonight, I'm going to take you on a journey through the quiet, snow-dusted streets of Paris, where we'll find our way to a secret garden sanctuary hidden away from the bustling city. Allow yourself to settle into a comfortable position, letting your body sink deeper into your bed with each breath. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. Just breathe, listen, and let yourself drift into this peaceful winter evening. The air is crisp and cool as you step out onto a quiet Parisian street, just as dusk begins to settle over the city. Snowflakes drift down from the darkening sky, each one catching the warm glow of the street lamps that are just beginning to flicker to life. The snow falls so softly, so gently, that you can barely hear it touching the cobblestones beneath your feet. It's that magical time of evening when day transitions into night, when the world seems to pause and take a breath before settling into the peaceful rhythm of darkness. You pull your coat a little tighter around yourself, feeling the soft wool against your skin, warm and comforting. Your scarf is wrapped snugly around your neck, and with each breath you take, you can see the faint mist forming in the cold air before dissipating into the twilight. The temperature is just cold enough to make your cheeks flush slightly, but not so cold that it's uncomfortable. It's that perfect winter cold that makes you feel alive, present, aware of every sensation. The street you're walking along is narrow and winding, the kind of street that tourists rarely find, tucked away in the 6th arrondissement, where the buildings lean close together, as if sharing centuries-old secrets. The architecture here is timeless, elegant facades of cream-colored stone with tall windows framed by wrought iron balconies. Some windows glow with warm golden light from within, and occasionally you catch a glimpse of someone moving about inside their apartment, perhaps preparing dinner or settling in with a book for the evening. Your footsteps make the softest sound on the snow-dusted cobblestones, a gentle rhythm that accompanies you as you walk. There's hardly anyone else on the street at this hour. Most people have already returned home, seeking shelter from the cold and the gathering darkness. But you continue walking, drawn forward by something you can't quite name, a feeling that there's somewhere special waiting for you, somewhere peaceful and safe. The snow continues to fall in that unhurried way that snow has, each flake taking its time on its journey from sky to earth. Some land on your shoulders, on your hair, tiny cold kisses that melt almost immediately from the warmth of your body. Others settle on the ground around you, gradually covering the ancient stones in a pristine blanket of white. The world is becoming quieter as the snow falls, as if nature is tucking the city in for the night, muffling all the sharp edges and harsh sounds. You pass a small cafe on the corner, its windows steamed up from the warmth inside. Through the glass, you can see a few patrons seated at small round tables, cradling cups of coffee or hot chocolate, their faces relaxed and content. The cafe's sign swings gently in the slight breeze, making the smallest creaking sound, and the scent of fresh bread drifts out into the street, mingling with the clean, pure smell of snow. As you continue walking, you notice how the street lamps create little pools of golden light on the snowy ground, each one a small beacon of warmth in the growing darkness. The light reflects off the snow in the most beautiful way, making everything seem to glow softly. It's as if the street itself is lit from within, infused with a gentle luminescence that feels almost magical. You turn down an even narrower passage, more of an alley really, one that you've never noticed before despite having walked these streets many times. Something about tonight has revealed it to you, as if the snow and the dusk have together created a moment of clarity, showing you what was always there, but remained hidden in the busy daylight hours. The passage is barely wide enough for two people to walk side by side, and the buildings on either side rise up tall, creating a corridor of stone and shadows. Here, away from the street lamps, the darkness is deeper, but not frightening. It's a welcoming darkness, a protective darkness, like being wrapped in a soft blanket. Your eyes adjust quickly, and you can see the snow falling in silver streaks against the dark stone of the buildings. The passage curves gently to the left, and you follow it, your hand occasionally brushing against the cold stone wall, feeling its ancient solidity, its permanence. The passage opens up suddenly, and you find yourself standing before a tall wooden door set into an old stone wall. The door is weathered by time, its wood dark and rich, with iron hinges that have oxidized to a beautiful blue-green patina. There's an ornate iron handle, cold to the touch, shaped like a curved vine with small leaves. Next to the door, partially covered by climbing ivy that has been touched by frost, is a small brass plaque, tarnished with age. You lean closer to read it, brushing away a few snowflakes that have settled on its surface. The plaque reads simply, Jardin du Crépuscule, the Garden of Twilight. Even the name sounds peaceful, inviting. You've never heard of this place before, never seen it mentioned in any guidebook or travel blog. It feels like a discovery, a secret that the city has chosen to share with you on this particular evening. You reach out and turn the iron handle. It moves smoothly despite its apparent age, and the door swings open on well-oiled hinges, making barely a whisper of sound. Beyond the door, a narrow path stretches ahead, lined on both sides by tall hedges that have been trimmed into neat, formal shapes. The path is made of fine gravel that crunches softly under your feet as you step through the doorway and into the garden. You close the door gently behind you, and immediately the sounds of the city fade away completely. It's as if you've stepped into another world entirely, a pocket of tranquility that exists outside of time and space. The garden is enclosed by high stone walls on all sides, walls that are covered in bare climbing vines that will bloom with flowers come spring, but now create intricate patterns against the gray stone, traced here and there with delicate lines of snow. The path ahead curves gently through the garden, inviting you to explore. On either side of the gravel path, the garden is divided into different sections, each one carefully designed and maintained. Even in winter, even under snow, you can see the care and thought that has gone into creating this space. There are evergreen shrubs shaped into perfect spheres and spirals, their dark green foliage dusted with white. There are sections where perennial plants have been cut back for the winter, leaving only their architectural seed heads standing proud above the snow, each one topped with a tiny crown of white. You begin walking slowly along the path, in no hurry to reach any particular destination. The garden seems to encourage a slow pace, a meditative movement that allows you to notice every detail, every small beauty. The gravel crunches softly with each step, a rhythmic sound that is deeply satisfying, grounding you in the present moment. The snow is falling more steadily now, the flakes slightly larger, drifting down through the still air. A few land on your eyelashes, and you blink them away, smiling at the tickling sensation. The temperature seems to have dropped a degree or two, making the air even crisper, more invigorating. But you feel warm enough in your coat, comfortable and protected. As you walk, you pass a small stone fountain set into an alcove in one of the garden's walls. The fountain is not running at this time of year, but you can see where water would flow from the mouth of a stone lion's head, trickling down into a basin below. The basin has a thin layer of ice on its surface, and snow has accumulated around its edges, creating a beautiful contrast between the dark stone and the pristine white snow. Beyond the fountain, the path widens slightly, and you come upon a section of the garden where there are several fruit trees, their bare branches reaching up toward the darkening sky. The trees have been carefully pruned into elegant shapes, each one a piece of living sculpture. Snow has settled on every branch, outlining them in white against the gray-blue of the evening sky, creating patterns that are endlessly intricate and beautiful. You pause here for a moment, tilting your head back to look up at the trees and the sky beyond. The snowflakes fall directly onto your face, cold and fresh, melting immediately against your warm skin. High above, through the falling snow, you can just make out a few early stars beginning to appear, their light faint but steady. There's something deeply peaceful about standing here in this quiet garden, watching the snow fall, feeling the cold air on your face while the rest of your body stays warm. After a few moments, you continue along the path, which curves around a dense grouping of evergreen shrubs before opening up into a wider area. Here, in what must be the center of the garden, there is a circular lawn, now covered in undisturbed snow. The lawn is surrounded by a border of what looks like lavender plants, their gray-green foliage just visible beneath the snow. In summer, this area would be filled with purple blooms and the sound of bees. But now it's silent and serene, a perfect circle of white. In the very center of the lawn stands a small structure, a gazebo made of weathered wood and wrought iron. It has 6 sides, each one open to the garden, with slender pillars supporting a peaked roof. The roof itself is covered in snow, giving the gazebo the appearance of a gingerbread house from a fairy tale. Inside the gazebo, you can see a bench that runs along 3 of its sides, providing a place to sit and rest. You make your way across the snowy lawn toward the gazebo, your feet sinking slightly into the soft snow with each step. You leave a trail of footprints behind you, the only marks in the otherwise pristine white surface. The snow here is perhaps 2 or 3 inches deep, deep enough to muffle sound even further, to create that particular hush that comes with fresh snowfall. As you climb the 3 wooden steps that lead up into the gazebo, you notice that the wood is old but solid, weathered to a soft silver gray. The steps creak ever so slightly under your weight, a gentle sound that seems appropriate in this peaceful setting. Once inside the gazebo, you find yourself in a space that feels both open and sheltered. The roof overhead protects you from the falling snow, but the open sides allow you to still see the garden in all directions, to feel part of the winter evening while being protected from it. You brush the snow off the bench and sit down, settling yourself comfortably. The wood is cold through your coat at first, but not uncomfortably so. You take a deep breath, drawing the cold air deep into your lungs, then exhaling slowly, watching your breath form clouds in the frigid air. Your body begins to relax, releasing tension you didn't even know you were holding. Your shoulders drop slightly, your jaw unclenches, your hands rest loosely in your lap. From this vantage point in the center of the garden, you can see the entire space laid out before you. The tall stone walls that encircle the garden, the carefully tended beds and borders, the sculpted trees and shrubs, all of it blanketed in snow and bathed in the soft blue light of dusk. Street lamps from somewhere beyond the walls cast a faint glow that just barely reaches over the top, creating a subtle rim of golden light around the upper edge of the stone. The garden is absolutely silent. No traffic noise, no voices, no machinery. Just the soft sound of snow falling, which is almost more of a feeling than a sound, a gentle presence in the air. Occasionally, a small clump of snow slides from a branch somewhere in the garden, landing with the softest of thumps on the ground below. But otherwise, there is only stillness, only peace. You sit quietly, feeling the cold air on your face, feeling the solid bench beneath you, watching the snow fall in the gathering darkness. Time seems to slow down here, to become less urgent, less demanding. There's no schedule to keep, no appointments to rush to, no tasks that need completing. There's only this moment, this garden, this quiet winter evening. As you continue to sit and observe, you begin to notice smaller details that weren't apparent at first. You notice how each snowflake that falls into the garden seems to take a slightly different path, swirling and dancing on currents of air that you can't feel, but that the snow makes visible. You notice how the shadows are deepening in the corners of the garden, gathering under shrubs and in the angles where walls meet, creating pockets of darkness that make the snow-covered areas seem even brighter by contrast. You notice the subtle variations in the gray-blue color of the evening sky, how it's darker overhead and lighter toward the horizon, how it seems to shift and change moment by moment as the last light of day gradually fades. You notice how the bare branches of the fruit trees create delicate silhouettes against this ever-changing sky, their forms so graceful and elegant that they could be drawings made by an artist's hand. Your breathing has slowed to match the peaceful rhythm of the garden. Each breath in brings cold, clean air that seems to clear your mind, to sweep away any lingering thoughts or worries. Each breath out releases tension, releases stress, releases anything you don't need to carry with you. In and out, in and out, simple, natural, calming. The light continues to fade as evening transitions into night. The snow is still falling, steady and gentle, adding layer upon layer to the white blanket that covers the garden. You can no longer see the individual stones in the gravel paths. They're all hidden beneath the snow now. The borders and beds have become simple shapes, soft mounds, and gentle curves, all definition softened and simplified by winter's touch. From somewhere far away, so distant that you almost think you've imagined it, comes the faint sound of church bells ringing the hour. The sound reaches you muted and mellow, filtered through snow and stone and distance. You don't count the chimes. It doesn't matter what hour it is. Time is irrelevant here. All that matters is this present moment, this peaceful now. As full darkness settles over the garden, you notice that it's not as dark as you might expect. The snow itself seems to give off a faint luminescence, as if it's capturing and reflecting back what little light there is. This soft glow allows you to still see the shapes and forms of the garden around you, though now everything is reduced to its essential elements: light and dark, stillness and movement, earth and sky. You shift slightly on the bench, adjusting your position to be even more comfortable. Your body feels heavy now, relaxed, and at ease. The cold air that initially made you feel alert and energized is now simply part of the experience, something you've adjusted to, something that feels natural and right. You're warm enough under your coat, and the cold on your face is refreshing, pleasant, like a gentle caress. In the quiet of the garden, your mind begins to wander, drifting like the snowflakes that continue to fall. You think about all the people who might have visited this garden over the years, over the decades, perhaps over centuries. How many others have sat in this gazebo, watching the snow fall, finding peace in this hidden sanctuary? How many troubled hearts have found comfort here? How many weary souls have discovered rest? The garden feels timeless, as if it exists outside the normal flow of hours and days. It feels like a place that has always been here and will always be here, waiting patiently for those who need it, offering its peace freely to anyone who finds their way through that weathered wooden door. You feel grateful to have discovered it, grateful for this evening, grateful for this moment of perfect tranquility. You let your eyes half close, still watching the snow fall, but now seeing it as if through a soft filter. The individual flakes become less distinct, blending into a continuous gentle motion, a dance of white against dark. It's mesmerizing in its simplicity, hypnotic in its repetition. Fall and land, fall and land, endless, eternal, peaceful. Your thoughts become slower, more diffuse, like smoke dissipating in still air. There's no need to think, no need to analyze or plan or worry. Everything is taken care of. You are safe. You are comfortable. You are exactly where you need to be. The garden cradles you in its silence, wraps you in its peace, holds you gently in this moment of suspended time. The snowfall intensifies slightly, the flakes becoming thicker, falling more densely. But the change is gradual, gentle, nothing jarring or sudden. It's simply snow becoming more itself, winter settling more deeply into its character. The world beyond the garden walls ceases to exist. There is only here, only now, only this quiet sanctuary and the soft, persistent snow. You notice that your breathing has become even slower, even deeper. Each breath takes longer, feels more substantial, more nourishing. The cold air fills your lungs completely, and you hold it there for a moment before releasing it slowly, watching it form clouds that hang briefly in the air before dissipating. Your heartbeat has slowed too, become calm and steady, a reliable rhythm that grounds you, that reminds you that you are alive, present, part of this beautiful winter evening. Time passes, though you're not sure how much. It could be minutes or hours. It doesn't matter. The snow continues to fall. The darkness continues to deepen. The garden remains peaceful and still. You remain sitting in the gazebo, feeling more relaxed than you have in a long time, perhaps more relaxed than you've ever felt. All the tension has drained from your body, leaving you feeling light and loose and free. You think about how rarely you allow yourself moments like this, moments of pure rest, of simply being without doing. Life is so often filled with activity, with noise, with demands on your time and attention. But here in this garden, none of that exists. Here there is only peace, only stillness, only the gentle presence of snow and darkness and silence. The cold is becoming more pronounced now as night settles in completely, but you don't mind. It keeps you alert enough to appreciate the beauty around you while still allowing your body to relax deeply. The contrast between the cold air on your face and the warmth of your body beneath your coat creates a pleasant sensation, a balance between comfort and invigoration. You become aware of how the snow has transformed the garden, creating an entirely new landscape. What was visible before is now hidden. What was hidden is now revealed in new ways. The snow has simplified everything, reduced the garden to its essential forms and shapes. There's a kind of honesty in this simplification, a truth that emerges when all the decorative details are covered over and only the fundamental structure remains. In the distance, beyond the garden walls, you can occasionally hear faint sounds of the city. A car passing on a far-off street, its tires swishing softly through snow. The muffled sound of a door closing. A voice calling out, too distant to make out words. But these sounds seem to come from another world entirely, a world that feels very far away from where you are now. They don't disturb the peace of the garden. They simply remind you that this sanctuary exists within a larger context, that you can return to that world whenever you choose. But for now, you are here, in this place apart. The bench beneath you feels solid and real, anchoring you to this moment, to this place. You press your palms down against the wooden surface, feeling its texture, its coldness, its substantial presence. This simple physical sensation helps to keep you grounded, present, fully experiencing everything around you, rather than drifting too far into thought or memory or imagination. You notice how your body has settled into the space, how you've become part of the scene rather than just an observer of it. You belong here, in this moment. You are as much a part of the winter garden as the snow and the trees and the silent stone walls. There's a rightness to your presence here, a sense of being exactly where you should be. The falling snow continues its patient work, adding layer upon layer to the white blanket that covers everything. Each flake is so small, so light, seemingly insignificant on its own, but together, collectively, they transform the entire landscape. There's something profound in this, something worth contemplating. How small actions, repeated consistently over time, can create significant change. How patience and persistence can reshape the world. Your eyelids are growing heavier now, though you're not sleepy exactly, just deeply, profoundly relaxed. The effort of keeping your eyes fully open seems unnecessary. You allow them to drift closed, and immediately your other senses seem to sharpen. You become more aware of the sound of snow falling, that soft whisper that is almost more felt than heard. You become more aware of the cold air moving gently across your face, so light that it's barely perceptible. You become more aware of the scent of winter, clean and crisp and pure. With your eyes closed, you can picture the garden perfectly in your mind. The circular lawn, the gazebo where you sit, the stone walls, the sculptured trees, all of it covered in pristine white snow. The image is clear and vivid, as if you're seeing it from outside yourself, as if you're both in the garden and observing it from some higher vantage point. You let yourself sit with this image, with this feeling, with this deep sense of peace that has settled over you like the snow settling over the garden. There's nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. You can stay here as long as you like, resting in this moment of perfect tranquility, allowing yourself to be held by the silence and the stillness. The night deepens around you, and the garden grows darker still, though never completely dark. That faint luminescence from the snow persists, providing just enough light to keep total darkness at bay. It's a gentle, kind darkness, one that invites rest rather than inspiring fear. It's the darkness of sleep, of dreams, of restoration and renewal. You become aware of how tired you are, not unpleasantly so, but simply aware of the fatigue that lives in your body, accumulated from days and weeks and months of activity and effort. This garden, this moment, this peace offers you the opportunity to release some of that fatigue, to let it drain away like water finding its level, flowing out and down and away from you. You sit in the gazebo, in the garden, in the snow, in the night, in the silence. You sit at the still center of everything, the calm point around which the world revolves. And in this sitting, in this stillness, you find something precious. You find rest. You find peace. You find yourself. The snow falls and falls and falls, endless and patient, covering the world in white. The darkness gathers and deepens, gentle and protective, wrapping the garden in soft shadows. And you sit quietly in the heart of it all, breathing slowly, resting deeply, feeling the profound peace of this hidden sanctuary seep into your bones, into your blood, into your very soul. This is arrival. This is the first step of your journey into peace. You have found the garden. You have entered its gates. You have discovered its central sanctuary. And now you rest here, in this gazebo, in this moment, allowing yourself to simply be, allowing yourself to simply breathe, allowing yourself to simply exist in this space of perfect winter tranquility. The garden holds you gently in its embrace, offering you its peace, its silence, its protection from the busy world beyond its walls. And you accept this gift gratefully, settling more deeply into rest, feeling your body grow heavier and more relaxed with each passing moment, feeling your mind grow quieter and more still with each breath you take. Let yourself rest here. Let yourself be held by this moment. Let the snow fall around you. Let the darkness gather. Let the silence enfold you. You are safe. You are peaceful. You are exactly where you need to be. After some time resting in the gazebo, watching the snow fall, and feeling the deep peace of the garden settle into your body, you become aware of a gentle curiosity stirring within you. While this central space is beautiful and calming, you find yourself wondering what else the garden might hold, what other peaceful corners and quiet spaces might be waiting to be discovered. The thought is not urgent or demanding, simply a soft invitation to explore a little more, to see what else this sanctuary has to offer. You rise slowly from the bench, taking your time, moving with the same unhurried pace that the garden seems to encourage. Your body feels different now than when you first arrived, looser somehow, more fluid, as if the tension that normally holds you rigid has melted away like snow in spring sunshine. You stretch gently, reaching your arms up toward the peaked roof of the gazebo, feeling the pleasant pull in your muscles, then letting your arms fall back to your sides with a satisfied exhale. Stepping down from the gazebo, your feet sink once again into the soft snow that covers the circular lawn. The snow has gotten deeper while you were resting. Perhaps another inch or two has accumulated. Your previous footprints from when you crossed to the gazebo are already partially filled in, softened and rounded by the continuing snowfall. You make new prints now as you walk back toward the edge of the lawn, each step creating a satisfying compression, a soft sound that is barely audible but deeply pleasant. You reach the gravel path that circles the lawn and pause for a moment, looking in both directions, deciding which way to explore first. To your left, The path curves away behind a grouping of tall evergreen shrubs, disappearing into shadows. To your right, it leads toward what appears to be a small grove of trees, their bare branches creating an intricate lacework against the night sky. You choose to go right, drawn by something ineffable, some instinct that suggests beauty and peace await in that direction. As you walk along the path, the snow crunching softly beneath your feet, you notice how the garden reveals itself gradually, section by section, like a story being told one chapter at a time. The high walls that enclose the space create distinct areas, different rooms in this outdoor sanctuary, each with its own character and purpose. The design is masterful, creating a sense of discovery and surprise, while maintaining an overall feeling of harmony and coherence. The grove of trees that you're approaching consists of perhaps 6 or 7 specimens, their trunks thick and gnarled with age, their bark deeply textured and covered in places with moss and lichen. Even without their leaves, you can tell these are fruit trees, probably apples or pears, carefully tended over many years, perhaps many decades. In spring and summer, they must be magnificent, covered in blossoms, and then laden with fruit. But even now, in their winter dormancy, they possess a stark beauty, a sculptural quality that is enhanced by the snow outlining every branch and twig. You walk among the trees slowly, reaching out occasionally to touch a trunk, feeling the rough bark against your gloved hand, sensing the life that sleeps within, waiting patiently for spring's return. The trees are spaced far enough apart that you can move easily between them, yet close enough that their canopy of branches overhead creates a kind of roof, a natural shelter that feels both open and protected. Beneath the trees, the snow is slightly less deep, some of it having been caught by the branches above. You can see the ground more clearly here, covered in fallen leaves from autumn that the snow hasn't completely hidden. The leaves are brown and gold and russet, their colors muted but still visible, creating a beautiful contrast with the white snow. Your feet rustle through them as you walk, adding a gentle whispering sound to the soft crunch of snow. In the center of the grove, you discover a small stone bench, partially covered with snow. It's a simple bench, just a flat piece of stone supported by 2 curved stone sides, weathered and aged and beautiful in its simplicity. You brush the snow from its surface, revealing the gray stone beneath, smooth from years of use and weather. You sit down, feeling the coldness of the stone through your coat, a pleasant sensation that keeps you alert and present. From this vantage point, sitting under the canopy of bare branches, you can look up and see the night sky through the intricate network of twigs and branches above you. The snow is still falling, drifting down through the branches, sometimes catching on them, sometimes passing through the gaps to land on the ground below or on you. A few flakes land on your upturned face, cold and fresh, melting instantly against your warm skin. The silence here in the grove feels different from the silence in the gazebo. There, the silence was open and expansive, the quiet of an open space under a vast sky. Here, the silence is more intimate, more enclosed, as if the trees themselves are holding the quiet, protecting it, keeping it safe within their circle. It's a nurturing silence, a mothering silence, one that makes you feel cared for and protected. You sit very still, breathing slowly, watching the snow fall through the branches. The pattern it creates is endlessly fascinating, never the same from one moment to the next, always changing, always moving, yet always essentially the same. It's like watching waves on the ocean or flames in a fire, something that captivates the attention without demanding concentration, something that allows the mind to rest while the eyes remain engaged. After a while, you're not sure how long, you become aware of small sounds in the garden that you hadn't noticed before. The tiny creak of a branch moving in a breeze, too subtle for you to feel. The soft sound of snow sliding from one branch to another, then falling to the ground with the gentlest of thumps. The occasional settling sound as the weight of accumulating snow causes something to shift or compress. These sounds are so quiet, so delicate, that they enhance the silence rather than breaking it, like small decorations on a vast canvas of quiet. You find yourself thinking about the trees around you, about their age and their history. How many winters have they endured? How many springs have they celebrated with blossoms? How many summers have they spent producing fruit, offering sustenance to whoever tends this garden? There's something humbling about being in the presence of living things that have existed far longer than you, that will likely continue to exist long after you're gone. It puts your own life into perspective, makes your worries and concerns seem smaller, more manageable. The cold is becoming more noticeable now, but not uncomfortable. It's simply part of the experience, part of what makes this moment what it is. You can feel it on your cheeks, on your nose, on your hands, even through your gloves. But your core remains warm, and the cold on your face is invigorating, cleansing, like a gentle wake-up call that keeps you from drifting too far into drowsiness while still allowing you to remain deeply relaxed. Eventually, you stand again, ready to continue your exploration. You take a moment to look back at the bench, at the trees, committing this scene to memory. This grove has given you something, some gift of peace and perspective that you want to carry with you. You feel grateful to it, grateful to the unknown gardeners who planted these trees and have cared for them over the years, grateful to the garden itself for allowing you entry into its sanctuary. You make your way out of the grove, following the path as it continues around the perimeter of the garden. The path curves gently, leading you toward another section of the sanctuary. Here, against the garden wall, you find what appears to be a pergola, a long wooden structure with vertical posts supporting horizontal beams overhead. In warmer months, vines would grow over this structure, creating a tunnel of green leaves and perhaps flowers. Now the vines are dormant, just bare stems and branches, but the structure itself is beautiful. The wood aged to that same soft gray as the gazebo, the proportions elegant and pleasing. You walk beneath the pergola, your footsteps echoing slightly in the enclosed space, a soft, rhythmic sound that accompanies you. The pergola must be 30 or 40 feet long, creating a covered walkway along this edge of the garden. Snow has drifted in through the gaps in the overhead beams, creating irregular patterns on the ground, stripes and patches of white alternating with areas where the stone paving is still visible. Along one side of the pergola, against the garden wall, there are raised planting beds built of old brick, weathered and beautiful. The beds are empty now, prepared for winter, the soil dark and rich looking where it's visible beneath the snow. You can imagine these beds in summer, overflowing with herbs and flowers, filling this walkway with fragrance and color. But even empty and dormant, they have a certain beauty, the brick warm-toned and textured, the simple geometry of the raised rectangles satisfying to look at. At the far end of the pergola, you find another surprise. Set into the wall is a small alcove, and within this alcove is a stone statue, perhaps 3 feet tall. The statue depicts a woman in classical dress, her head tilted slightly downward, as if in thought or contemplation. One hand is raised to her chest, the other hangs at her side. Snow has accumulated on her head and shoulders, giving her the appearance of wearing a white shawl. Her face, what you can see of it in the dim light, is serene, peaceful, with a slight smile that suggests inner contentment. You stand before the statue for a long moment, studying her features, appreciating the skill of whoever carved her. There's something deeply calming about her presence, about her attitude of quiet reflection. She seems to embody the spirit of the garden itself, peaceful and contemplative, turned inward towards some source of tranquility that needs no external validation or expression. In front of the statue, at the base of the alcove, there's a small stone shelf, and on this shelf, someone has placed a few objects. A smooth river stone, gray and perfectly oval. A small pinecone, its scales dusted with snow. A bird's feather, probably from a pigeon or dove, gray and white and delicate. These seem like offerings of some kind, tokens left by previous visitors to the garden, small gifts given in gratitude or reverence, or simply as a way of marking their presence, of saying, I was here, I found this place, I am grateful. You feel moved by these small offerings, by the evidence that others have found this garden and felt compelled to leave something of themselves behind. Without quite meaning to, you find yourself reaching into your pocket, searching for something you might add to this small collection. Your fingers close around a smooth coin, and you draw it out, looking at it in the dim light. It seems appropriate somehow, this small piece of metal, practically worthless, but symbolically significant. You place it gently on the stone shelf next to the other objects, adding your voice to the silent chorus of gratitude that this place inspires. Leaving the statue and continuing along the path, you notice that you're now walking along a different side of the garden, heading back toward where you came in, but approaching it from another angle. The design of the garden is becoming clearer to you now. The The way it's laid out in a rough square with the circular lawn and gazebo at the center. Different sections and features arranged around this central point. It's elegant in its simplicity, sophisticated in its execution. You pass another section where the garden opens up slightly, revealing a small area that must be dedicated to roses. Even without their leaves or blooms, you can identify the plants by their characteristic shape, the way they've been pruned back to short stems studded with thorns. The rose garden is arranged in a formal pattern, 4 identical beds arranged around a central point where a small sundial stands on a stone pedestal. The sundial is covered with snow, its bronze face hidden, its shadow-casting gnomon outlined in white. You walk closer to examine the sundial, brushing some of the snow from its face to reveal the Roman numerals carved into the bronze, the Latin inscription that circles its edge. The words are worn and difficult to read in the low light, but you can make out enough to understand the sentiment. Something about time passing, about making use of the hours, about the preciousness of each moment. It's a common theme for sundials, this reminder of time's passage and the importance of using it wisely. But here in this garden, on this snowy evening, the words feel particularly poignant, particularly relevant. Standing by the sundial, you become aware of how much time has passed since you entered the garden, though you're still not sure exactly how long. Time has felt elastic here, stretching and compressing in strange ways, sometimes seeming to move very slowly, and sometimes seeming to disappear entirely. Clock time, the measured minutes and hours that govern daily life, seems to have no purchase here. Instead, there's only experience time, the subjective sense of duration that comes from paying attention, from being fully present in each moment. You realize you're not wearing a watch, and even if you were, you have no desire to check it. The hour doesn't matter. The lateness or earliness of the evening is irrelevant. You're here, in this garden, in this moment, and that's all you need to know. The rest of the world, with its schedules and deadlines and appointments, exists somewhere beyond these walls, but it can't reach you here. You're protected from it, sheltered from its demands, free to simply exist in your own time, at your own pace. The path leads you onward, and you follow it willingly, curious to see what else you might discover. You're beginning to understand the gift this garden offers, the particular quality of peace it provides. It's not just the absence of noise or disturbance, though that's certainly part of it. It's something more profound than that, something to do with permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to stop. Permission to simply be without doing, to exist without producing, to rest without guilt or anxiety. In your normal life, rest often feels like something that must be earned, a reward for productivity, something you can only allow yourself after completing your tasks and meeting your obligations. But here in the garden, rest is simply offered, freely given, no conditions attached. The garden doesn't care what you've accomplished today or what you have left to do tomorrow. It simply invites you to be here now, to rest in this moment, to accept the peace it offers. you come upon another feature of the garden, a small reflecting pool built into the ground. It's perhaps 10 feet long and half as wide, rectangular in shape, lined with dark stone. The pool is frozen over, a thin layer of ice covering its surface, and snow has accumulated on top of the ice, creating an opaque white covering. You can't see into the water, can't see what might lie beneath the surface, but you can imagine how it must look in warmer seasons, filled with clear water that mirrors the sky and the surrounding plants, creating another dimension to the garden, a liquid mirror that doubles everything. Around the pool, the paving stones have been arranged in a circular pattern, creating a small plaza or viewing area. There's a single bench here, positioned to face the pool, allowing someone to sit and contemplate their reflection, to watch the play of light on water, to observe whatever birds or insects might come to drink. You sit on this bench, brushing away the snow, and look at the white surface of the frozen pool. Even covered with ice and snow, the pool possesses a certain beauty, a certain presence. There's something about water, even frozen water, even hidden water, that commands attention, that draws the eye and holds it. Perhaps it's the contrast with the solid earth around it, the suggestion of depth in a world of surfaces, the promise of reflection and transformation. You think about reflections, about how we see ourselves mirrored in others, in circumstances, in the world around us. Sometimes the reflection is clear and accurate, showing us who we really are. Sometimes it's distorted, warped by ripples and waves, showing us a version of ourselves that isn't quite true. And sometimes, like now with the pool frozen and covered, there's no reflection at all, just an opaque surface that reveals nothing, that keeps its secrets hidden beneath layers of ice and snow. There's something restful about this, about not being able to see your reflection, not being confronted with your own image. It allows you to forget yourself a little, to stop being quite so self-conscious, to simply exist as a presence in the garden rather than as a particular person with a particular face and history and set of characteristics. You become less specific here, more universal, just another living being experiencing a winter evening in a peaceful place. The snow continues to fall, persistent and gentle, adding its steady rhythm to the evening. You've become so accustomed to it now that you barely notice it consciously, but it's always there, always present, a constant soft movement in your peripheral vision, a gentle sound at the edge of your hearing. It's like breathing, like a heartbeat, so fundamental and continuous that it becomes part of the background against which everything else occurs. You rise from the bench and continue your exploration, following the path as it leads you around another turn. Here you discover a section of the garden that seems dedicated to evergreen plants, to species that maintain their color and vitality even through the darkest depths of winter. There are several varieties of pine, their needles dark green against the snow, their branches heavy with the white burden they carry. There are junipers and cedars, their foliage ranging from deep green to blue-green to almost gray-green. creating a subtle palette of colors in the monochrome landscape. There's something encouraging about these evergreens, something hopeful. While the deciduous trees and shrubs sleep through winter, these plants remain awake, remain vital, proving that life continues even in the coldest, darkest months. They're a reminder that dormancy is not death, that apparent lifelessness is just a temporary state, that spring will come again, and everything that seems dead will prove to be merely sleeping. You walk among the evergreens, occasionally reaching out to touch a branch, feeling the needles prick gently against your glove, smelling the resinous scent that's released when you disturb the foliage. It's a clean, sharp smell, astringent and clarifying, cutting through the neutral scent of snow and cold air. It reminds you of forests and mountains, of wilderness areas far from cities and human habitation, of nature in its purest and most powerful form. The path curves back toward the center of the garden, and you realize you've completed a circuit. You've explored the entire perimeter and are now heading back toward the gazebo where you began your rest. But the journey hasn't been circular exactly, not in a simple way. You've spiraled inward and outward, discovered different aspects of the garden, experienced different qualities of peace and quiet. You're returning to the center, but you're returning changed, carrying with you everything you've discovered, everything you've experienced. As you approach the circular lawn with its central gazebo, you see it now with different eyes than when you first arrived. It's no longer just a pretty structure in a pleasant garden. It's the heart of the sanctuary, the still point around which everything else revolves. It's where you began and where you'll return, the anchor point of your experience here. But before you return to the gazebo, you notice one more feature of the garden that you missed on your first pass. Just to the side of the path, partially hidden behind a large shrub, there's a small wooden gate set into the stone wall. The gate is perhaps 4 feet tall, arched at the top, made of the same weathered wood as the main entrance and the gazebo and the pergola. It's clearly not an exit from the garden, as it's far too small for that purpose, more like a decorative element, or perhaps a gate to a storage area or tool shed. But something about it intrigues you, calls to you. You leave the main path and make your way through the snow toward the gate. Up close, you can see that it's beautifully made, the wood joined together with obvious skill and care, the iron hardware simple but elegant. There's no lock, just a simple latch that lifts easily when you touch it. You open the gate and find yourself looking into a very small enclosed space, perhaps 10 feet by 10 feet, surrounded on 3 sides by the garden wall, and on the 4th by the gate through which you've just entered. It's like a tiny room without a roof, open to the sky and the falling snow. The space is empty except for a single element at its center, a small tree, perhaps a young cherry or plum, no more than 8 feet tall, its branches spreading out in an elegant pattern. This little tree is clearly the whole purpose of this enclosed space, the reason for its existence. It's been given its own private garden, its own protected area, within the larger garden. You wonder about the significance of this, about why someone would go to the trouble of creating this special space for a single small tree. Perhaps it was planted in memory of someone, a living monument to a person who loved this garden. Perhaps it's simply very rare or precious, deserving of special protection and attention. Whatever the reason, the effect is one of reverence, of something being honored and cherished. You step into the small space and stand beside the tree, looking up at its branches against the night sky. Snow has collected on every branch, outlining its structure in white, making it look like a drawing done in white ink on dark paper. It's breathtakingly beautiful in its simplicity. Just this one small tree in its small space, given honor and attention, allowed to exist for its own sake, without needing to justify its existence through utility or productivity. There's a lesson here, you think, though you're not quite sure how to articulate it. Something about the value of creating space, of protection, of allowing things to exist simply because they're beautiful, simply because they deserve care and attention. Something about how even small things, individual things, are worthy of honor and reverence. Something about how we all need our own protected spaces, our own walled gardens where we can grow and flourish without being overwhelmed by the larger world. You stand with the tree for several minutes, just breathing, just being, feeling a sense of connection with this small living thing that shares the garden with you tonight. Then, quietly, respectfully, you step back through the gate and close it gently behind you, leaving the tree to its solitude, to its own private experience of the snowy evening. You make your way back to the main path and head toward the gazebo, ready now to return to that central point, to sit again in that sheltered space and let everything you've experienced settle into you, become part of you. The exploration has been good, valuable, enriching. You've discovered the different corners and features of the garden, learned its layout and character, found beauty and peace in its various sections. But now it's time to return to the center, to be still rather than moving, to integrate rather than acquire. The gazebo awaits, its peaked roof covered with snow, its open sides welcoming you back. Your footprints from before are still faintly visible on the lawn, though they've been partially filled by new snow. You make new prints beside them, crossing the white expanse toward the wooden steps. You climb up into the gazebo and return to the bench where you sat before. It feels familiar now, comfortable, like coming home after being away. You settle yourself, arranging your coat around you, making yourself comfortable for what you sense will be a longer period of rest. The exploration is complete. Now it's time for deeper rest, for allowing the experiences to sink in, for letting the peace of the garden work more profoundly on your body and mind and spirit. From this central vantage point, you can see all the areas you've explored. The grove of fruit trees to one side, the pergola with its statue along one wall, the rose garden with its sundial, the section of evergreens, and somewhere behind those shrubs, the small gate leading to the private space where the special tree grows. All of it connected, all of it part of one coherent whole, one sanctuary dedicated to peace and beauty and quiet contemplation. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with cold, clean air, then exhale slowly, watching your breath form clouds that drift away into the darkness. Your body feels pleasantly tired from the walking, from the gentle exploration. It's a good tiredness, a satisfying tiredness, the kind that comes from moving mindfully and purposefully rather than from stress or strain. The snow continues falling, endless and patient, covering everything in its white embrace. The garden grows quieter still, if that's possible, settling deeper into the peace of the winter night. And you sit in the center of it all, in the gazebo that serves as the heart of this sanctuary, feeling held and safe and profoundly at peace. You've explored the garden. You've discovered its secrets and corners, its features and character. You've walked its paths and touched its trees, stood before its statue and beside its special protected sapling. And now you've returned to the center, carrying all of this with you, ready to rest more deeply, to let the garden work its magic on you, to surrender to the profound peace that this place offers to all who find their way through its hidden door. The world beyond the walls continues to exist, you know that. But it feels very far away now, separated from you by more than just stone and distance. It's separated by stillness, by peace, by a different way of being in time and space. Here in the garden, you exist in a different reality, one where rushing and striving and worrying have no place, where only this moment matters, where only this breath, this heartbeat, this gentle fall of snow has any significance. You close your eyes and let your other senses take over. The sound of snow, the feel of cold air, the smell of winter and pine and stone. Your breathing slows even further, becoming deep and regular, a rhythm that matches the peaceful rhythm of the garden itself. And you sit, and you rest, and you allow yourself to sink deeper into the peace that surrounds you, that holds you, that welcomes you home to yourself. Time becomes even more fluid now as you sit in the gazebo, eyes closed, body relaxed, mind quiet. You've passed through arrival and exploration, and now you're entering a deeper phase of rest, a more profound state of peace. This is the time for settling, for allowing everything to become still, for letting the experiences of the evening integrate into your being at a level deeper than conscious thought. Your body has adjusted completely to the temperature now. The cold that you were aware of earlier has become just another sensation, neither good nor bad, simply part of what is. Your face feels cool and fresh. Your hands are comfortable in your gloves, and beneath your coat, your body maintains its warmth, creating a pleasant contrast that keeps you alert enough to remain present while relaxed enough to rest deeply. With your eyes closed, the garden exists now as a felt presence rather than a visual one. You can sense the space around you, the open sides of the gazebo, the circular lawn beyond, the walls that enclose the entire sanctuary. You can feel the snow falling even though you can't see it, each flake that lands on you registering as a tiny cold touch that disappears almost instantly. The darkness behind your closed eyelids is soft and comfortable, not oppressive or frightening, just a gentle absence of light that allows your mind to turn inward. Your breathing continues its slow, steady rhythm. In through your nose, the cold air traveling down into your lungs, filling them completely. A brief pause at the top of the breath, holding that fullness for just a moment. Then out through your mouth, warm air flowing out, carrying with it any tension, any worry, any thought that doesn't serve you. The pause at the bottom of the breath, in that empty space before the next inhale begins. And then in again, continuing the cycle over and over, as natural and necessary as waves on a shore. You become aware of your heartbeat, that faithful rhythm that has accompanied you every moment of your life, often unnoticed, but always present. It's steady and calm now, slower than usual perhaps, beating with a peaceful regularity that is deeply reassuring. Each beat is a small confirmation, a quiet statement. You are alive. You are here. You are okay. Your heart asks nothing of you, expects nothing from you, just continues its work, pumping blood through your body, keeping you alive without any conscious effort on your part. The sounds of the garden are minimal but present. The soft whisper of falling snow, which you've grown so accustomed to that it's become like a form of silence, a quiet that has texture and presence. Occasionally, the smallest creak from the gazebo's wooden structure as it settles or adjusts to the weight of snow on its roof. Very rarely, the distant sound from beyond the walls, so faint and far away that it seems to come from another world entirely. These sounds don't disturb your rest, they enhance it. They're like a gentle anchoring that keeps you from drifting away entirely. That maintains your connection to this time and place. You notice how your body has become heavy, how it seems to sink into the bench beneath you, as if the wood is somehow softer than it was, more accommodating, more willing to support your weight. Your shoulders have dropped completely, no longer held up by tension or effort. Your jaw is loose, your tongue rests softly in your mouth, your facial muscles are completely relaxed. Even your eyelids, already closed, seem to soften further, releasing any remaining effort of keeping them shut. Your hands rest in your lap, fingers loosely curled, no longer gripping or holding anything. Your arms feel pleasantly heavy, as if they're made of something denser than usual, something that wants to sink downward, to be supported rather than supporting. Your legs are extended slightly in front of you, ankles crossed perhaps, or feet flat on the gazebo floor, knees soft and relaxed. Your spine is supported by the back of the bench, allowing you to sit upright without effort, without strain. This heaviness is not unpleasant, not at all. It's the heaviness of deep relaxation, of a body that has finally been given permission to stop working, to stop holding itself up against gravity and expectation and demand. It's the heaviness that comes before sleep, that feeling of sinking that signals the body's readiness to let go completely, to surrender to rest. But you're not quite sleeping yet, not quite ready to release consciousness entirely. Instead, you're in that beautiful in-between state, that liminal space where you're deeply relaxed, but still aware, still present, still experiencing the garden and the night and the snow. It's a precious state, this threshold between waking and sleeping, a place where time seems to stop altogether, where you can rest more deeply than in normal waking life, but remain more present than in sleep. Your mind, like your body, has grown quieter. The constant stream of thoughts that normally fills your consciousness has slowed to a trickle. Thoughts still arise, but they're lazy thoughts, drifting thoughts, thoughts that appear and then dissolve like snowflakes melting on warm ground. You don't grab onto them, don't follow them wherever they want to lead you. You simply observe them arising and passing away, treating them with the same gentle indifference you might treat clouds passing across the sky. A memory surfaces, something from childhood perhaps, a winter day long ago, playing in snow, the feeling of cold on your face and joy in your heart. The memory is pleasant, tinged with nostalgia, but you don't cling to it. You let it arise, acknowledge it, and then let it fade away again, returning your attention to the present moment, to your breath, to the feeling of sitting in this gazebo, in this garden, on this snowy evening. Another thought appears, something about tomorrow perhaps, something you need to do or remember. But even as the thought forms, you recognize that it belongs to a different time, a different version of yourself. Right now, in this moment, there is no tomorrow. There is only now, only this breath, only this peaceful sitting in the dark with snow falling and silence holding you. The thought about tomorrow drifts away, powerless, irrelevant, and you remain anchored in the present. The practice of returning again and again to the present moment, to the physical sensations of your body and breath, becomes easier with repetition. Each time a thought tries to pull you away into past or future, into memory or planning or worry, you gently redirect your attention back to now, back to the feeling of cold air on your face, back to the sound of snow falling, back to the weight of your body on the bench, back to the rise and fall of your breath. Here, now, this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. You become aware of subtle sensations in your body that you hadn't noticed before. A slight tingling in your fingertips, perhaps from the cold, perhaps from the deep relaxation. A warmth in your chest, around your heart, a pleasant spreading sensation that feels like peace taking physical form. A looseness in your hips and lower back, areas that often hold tension, now releasing and softening. Each small sensation is like a message from your body, a quiet communication that says, I am relaxing, I am releasing, I am healing. The snow continues its patient work, falling and falling and falling. By now, the accumulation must be substantial. The garden is transformed, you know, even though you can't see it with your eyes closed. Everything is buried deeper under white, all the sharp edges rounded, all the distinct forms simplified and unified by the covering of snow. The garden has become even more peaceful, even more still, as if the snow is tucking it in for the night, pulling a white blanket up over everything, telling it to rest, to sleep, to let go of being anything other than perfectly, peacefully itself. You imagine the garden as it must look from above, from some high vantage point looking down. A square of white enclosed by dark walls, the darker shapes of trees and shrubs showing through the snow, the paths now invisible beneath their covering. And at the center, the gazebo with its snow-covered roof, and inside the gazebo, you, sitting still and quiet, a small presence at the heart of the sanctuary. The image is beautiful, almost like a painting, and you hold it in your mind for a moment before letting it go, returning once again to simply feeling, simply being, simply breathing. A question arises in your mind. How long have you been here? But the question has no urgency, no real need for an answer. Time has lost its usual meaning in this place. You could have been here for an hour or for many hours. It doesn't matter. Clock time, measured time, scheduled time, all of that belongs to the world beyond the walls. Here, there is only experience time, the subjective sense of duration that comes from paying attention to each moment as it unfolds. You realize that you're not bored, despite the lack of external stimulation, despite the fact that nothing is really happening. Boredom requires a certain kind of restlessness, a feeling that you should be doing something other than what you're doing, experiencing something other than what you're experiencing. But you feel no such restlessness. You're perfectly content to sit here, in this gazebo, in this garden, in this moment, doing nothing at all except being present, being aware, being alive. This contentment is a gift, you understand. In your normal life, doing nothing often feels uncomfortable, even wrong. There's always something that needs doing, some task that needs completing, some obligation that needs meeting. But here, all of that falls away. Here, doing nothing is not just acceptable, it's the whole point. The garden invites you to be rather than do, to exist rather than produce, to rest rather than strive. Your breath continues its steady rhythm, and you notice how each exhale is accompanied by a subtle softening, a small release of tension you didn't even know you were holding. It's as if each out-breath is carrying away a little bit of stress, a small amount of worry, a tiny portion of whatever burden you've been carrying. Breath by breath, you're becoming lighter, freer, more at ease. The cold has intensified slightly as the night deepens, but your body has adjusted beautifully. You're comfortable, neither too warm nor too cold, in that perfect state of thermal balance where temperature becomes irrelevant, where you can simply exist without being distracted by physical discomfort. The air you breathe is clean and pure, each inhale feeling like it's washing through your lungs, clearing out staleness, bringing freshness. You become aware of a profound stillness at the center of your being, a point of absolute quiet that exists beneath and beyond all the changing sensations and passing thoughts. It's as if there's a still point inside you, a place that is always peaceful no matter what else is happening, always quiet no matter how much noise surrounds you, always at rest no matter how much activity fills your days. This still point has always been there, you realize, but you rarely notice it because your attention is usually captured by more insistent, more demanding things. But here now, In this garden, in this moment, you can feel it clearly. This still point at your center, this unchanging, peaceful awareness that is your deepest self, your truest nature. It's not something you need to create or achieve, not something you need to strive for or earn. It's already here, always has been, always will be. You just need to be still enough, quiet enough, present enough to notice it. The recognition of this still center brings a smile to your face, though you're not sure anyone watching would notice it. It's a subtle smile, an internal smile, a softening around your eyes and mouth that expresses contentment and peace. You feel grateful, deeply grateful for this garden, for this evening, for this opportunity to discover what has always been here, waiting patiently for you to notice it. Time passes, though you're increasingly less aware of it as distinct moments and more aware of it as a continuous flow, like a river that carries you gently along. You're not holding onto any particular moment, not trying to preserve or extend this experience. You're simply allowing each moment to arise and pass away in its own time, trusting that each new moment will be sufficient, will bring what it needs to bring. Your body continues to relax even more deeply, finding levels of release you didn't know were possible. Muscles you didn't even know you had are letting go, softening, surrendering. Your organs, your bones, your blood, everything in your body is affected by this deep relaxation, this profound rest. You can feel your body taking advantage of this opportunity to do the maintenance work it normally does during sleep, repair, and restoration, happening at a cellular level. Healing processes taking place below the level of conscious awareness. The darkness behind your closed eyelids has become a comfortable friend, a peaceful companion. You notice subtle shifts in the quality of that darkness, slight variations that might be the result of snow accumulating differently on the gazebo roof, changing how much ambient light filters through. Or it might just be your visual system creating patterns and variations out of the absence of input, the same way the mind creates shapes and stories out of clouds. Either way, it's soothing rather than disturbing, something to gently notice and then let go. A sound reaches you from somewhere in the garden, a soft rustling that might be snow sliding from a branch, or might be a small animal moving through the underbrush, a mouse or vole going about its nocturnal business. You listen without trying to identify the source, without needing to know what made the sound. It's enough just to hear it, to acknowledge it, and then return to the larger silence that contains all sounds. You think about the other people in the city beyond these walls, the millions of souls going about their evening activities. Some are in their homes, warm and safe, perhaps reading or watching television, or preparing for bed. Some are out in the streets, hurrying from one place to another, bent against the cold and snow. Some are working, night shift workers keeping the city running while others sleep. Some are celebrating, laughing with friends in restaurants or bars. Some are grieving, sitting alone with their sorrows and losses. All of this human drama, all of this life and activity and emotion is happening simultaneously with your sitting here in perfect stillness and peace. The contrast is striking. You're not separate from that larger world, you're part of it, connected to all those other people through your shared humanity. But right now, you're also apart from it, given this temporary sanctuary, this refuge from the constant motion and demand of modern life. You send a silent wish out to all those other people, wherever they are, whatever they're doing. May they find peace. May they know rest. May they discover, as you have tonight, that there are sanctuaries available, both external and internal, places where they can lay down their burdens and simply be. The wish arises spontaneously, naturally, a generous impulse born from the peace you're experiencing, a desire to share this gift, to extend this blessing outward. Your hands have grown colder now, you notice, despite your gloves. The cold has seeped through the fabric, and your fingers feel stiff and slightly numb. But even this sensation is not unpleasant, not something that demands immediate action or change. It's just another aspect of the experience, another part of what this evening is. You flex your fingers slightly, bringing some circulation back to them, then let them rest again in your lap. The thought occurs to you that you could leave the gazebo, could go back through the garden and out the wooden door, could return to your apartment or hotel room, or wherever you're staying in the city. You could seek warmth and shelter, could make yourself tea or cocoa, could wrap yourself in blankets and turn on lights and return to the normal comforts of indoor life. The thought is appealing in its way, but it has no urgency. Not yet, not quite yet. There's still something here for you, something you're receiving from this evening, from this garden, from this deep rest in the snow-covered darkness. You understand now that this time in the garden is a kind of gift you're giving yourself. In choosing to stay here, in choosing to sit still and rest, rather than rushing back to activity and warmth and light, you're honoring yourself. You're acknowledging your need for this kind of deep, quiet rest. You're saying, through your actions, if not in words, that you deserve this peace, that you're worth this time, that your well-being matters enough to make space for it. This self-honoring, this self-care, is not something you do often enough, you realize. Too often you push through tiredness, ignore your need for rest, keep going because there's always something else that needs doing. But tonight, you're making a different choice. Tonight, you're choosing rest. You're choosing peace. You're choosing yourself. The recognition brings a warm feeling to your chest, a sense of rightness and alignment. This is what you're meant to be doing right here, right now. Not working, not producing, not achieving, not even experiencing anything particularly dramatic or exciting. Just sitting, just breathing, just being. And in this simple being, this uncomplicated presence, there is a profound rightness, a deep satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with what you truly need. Your breath has become so slow and deep now that sometimes there's a long pause between exhale and inhale, a space of several seconds where you're simply not breathing at all. It's not concerning or uncomfortable, just a natural deepening of the relaxation. Your body needing less oxygen as your metabolic rate slows, as everything in you settles into a state of profound rest. The snow, that constant companion of this evening, continues its gentle fall. You imagine each snowflake's journey, crystallizing high in the atmosphere where water vapor meets cold air, forming its unique six-sided structure, beginning its slow descent through layers of air, drifting on currents and breezes, finally landing here in this garden, on this ground, on this tree, perhaps even on you. Each flake's journey is different. Each one takes its own path, yet all of them are part of the same phenomenon, the same weather system, the same winter storm. There's something profound in this. You think, some metaphor or lesson about individuality and unity, about how each of us is unique, yet all of us are part of something larger. But you don't pursue the thought. Don't try to develop it into some complete philosophical insight. You just let it arise and hover for a moment in your consciousness before dissolving again, like a snowflake melting. The gazebo feels like a small world unto itself, a tiny universe with you at its center. The roof overhead is your sky, the wooden floor your earth, the open sides your horizons. Everything you need is here, in this small space. Shelter from the snow, a place to sit, air to breathe, peace to experience. It's enough. It's more than enough. It's everything. You think about how much of life is spent wanting more, seeking more, striving for more. More money, more success, more experiences, more possessions, more recognition, more of everything. But here now, you're experiencing the opposite. You're experiencing the fullness that comes from having less, from stripping away everything unnecessary, from reducing life to its bare essentials. And in this reduction, you're finding not poverty, but richness, not lack, but abundance. The abundance you're experiencing is not material, not measurable in any conventional sense. It's the abundance of time, of peace, of presence, of being fully alive in this moment without needing it to be anything other than what it is. It's the abundance that comes from contentment, from being satisfied with what is rather than constantly reaching for what might be. Your body has now reached a state of such deep relaxation that you're barely aware of it anymore. It's become like the bench you're sitting on, just another object in the environment, something that exists but doesn't demand attention. Your awareness has shifted away from physical sensations towards something more subtle, more internal, harder to name or describe. It's as if you're experiencing yourself as pure awareness, as the consciousness that observes and experiences, but is not itself any particular experience. You're not your thoughts, because you can watch thoughts arise and pass away. You're not your emotions, because you can feel emotions come and go without being defined by them. You're not even your body, because you can observe your body's sensations from a kind of distance. So what are you? You're this awareness itself, this capacity to observe and experience, this consciousness that is always present regardless of what's being experienced. This recognition is not new. You've glimpsed it before in moments of meditation or deep reflection. But here, now, it's particularly clear, particularly vivid. The garden has provided the perfect conditions for this insight to emerge, the peace and quiet necessary for the mind to settle enough to recognize its own nature. You feel a wave of something moving through you, something that might be called joy, but is quieter than joy usually is, more peaceful, more still. It's the satisfaction that comes from touching something true, from recognizing something fundamental about the nature of existence. It doesn't need to be celebrated or expressed. It's enough just to feel it, just to know it, just to rest in the truth of it. The cold is more pronounced now, and you're aware that you'll need to move soon, need to generate some warmth through activity, need to return to the world of motion and effort. But not quite yet. Just a little longer. Just a few more minutes of this perfect peace, this profound rest, this deep communion with stillness. You open your eyes slowly, gradually, letting your vision adjust to the darkness. The garden is still there, of course, still beautiful, still peaceful, now even more deeply buried in snow than before. The world has not disappeared while you sat with your eyes closed, but something has shifted. You've changed. The rest has worked its magic on you, has given you something precious, something you'll carry with you when you leave. The shapes around you are simplified by darkness and snow, reduced to their essential forms. Dark and light, solid and empty, still and moving. The complexity of the daytime world is gone, replaced by this nighttime simplicity that is somehow more honest, more true. Everything is revealed as what it really is, stripped of decoration and pretense. You sit for a while longer with your eyes open, just looking, just seeing, not thinking about what you're seeing, but simply receiving the visual information, letting it enter your consciousness without commentary or judgment. The snow falling, the dark shapes of shrubs and trees, the white expanse of the lawn, the stone walls at the perimeter, the faint glow of city lights over the walls, a reminder that the larger world still exists. Eventually, you know you'll stand. You'll brush the snow from your coat. You'll make your way back across the lawn and along the path and out through the weathered wooden door. You'll return to the streets of Paris, to your room, to your bed, to sleep and dreams and the eventual arrival of morning. But you'll return changed, carrying this peace with you, knowing that this garden exists, that this sanctuary is here whenever you need it, that the capacity for deep rest lives within you always, waiting to be accessed. But not yet. Not quite yet. For now, you simply sit and breathe and rest and let the snow fall and allow yourself to be held by the profound peace of this winter evening in this secret garden at the heart of Paris. The rest continues, deepening with each moment, preparing you for the final transition into sleep, into dreams, into the complete surrender of consciousness that will come soon, very soon, when the time is right, when your body and mind are fully ready to let go completely and trust the night to hold you safely until morning comes again. The transition from resting to sleeping is not a sharp boundary, not a clear line you cross from one state to another. Instead, It's a gradual dissolving, a gentle fading, like twilight giving way to night so slowly that you can't pinpoint the exact moment when day becomes darkness. You're aware that you're moving towards sleep now, drifting in that direction, but there's no urgency about it, no need to force or rush the process. Sleep will come when it comes, and until then, you simply continue to rest, to breathe, to be present in this liminal space between waking and dreaming. Your eyelids, which had opened for a while to gaze at the snowy garden, grow heavy again. They flutter slightly, half open, then closing again, the effort of keeping them raised becoming too much. It's easier just to let them close, to return to that comfortable darkness, to stop receiving visual information and allow your other senses to take over completely. The darkness behind your closed lids is deep and soft now, welcoming, like sinking into a warm bath or wrapping yourself in the softest blanket imaginable. The sounds of the garden begin to seem more distant, as if they're reaching you from farther away than before. The whisper of falling snow, which has been your constant companion all evening, becomes more of a texture than a sound, something you're aware of in a vague, indefinite way, rather than something you're actively listening to. It's still there, still present, but your consciousness is beginning to turn inward, to withdraw from the external world and focus on the internal landscape of approaching sleep. Your breath has become so slow, so quiet, that sometimes you're not sure if you're breathing at all. The pauses between breaths stretch longer and longer, spaces of perfect stillness where nothing moves, nothing changes, nothing exists except pure being. And then, just when it seems the pause might last forever, your body remembers to breathe again, drawing in air slowly, filling your lungs gently, then releasing it again in a long, peaceful exhale that seems to carry you deeper into relaxation, deeper into rest, deeper into the approaching embrace of sleep. You're aware of your heartbeat again, but it seems slower than before, more distant, as if it's beating in another room rather than in your chest. Each beat is distinct, clear, separated from the next by a long interval of quiet. Lub-dub, pause, lub-dub, pause. The rhythm is mesmerizing, hypnotic, drawing you further into the trance-like state that precedes sleep. Your heart knows what to do, knows how to keep you alive without any conscious instruction or effort from you. You can trust it completely, can surrender control to it, can let it do its work while you drift away into unconsciousness. The cold air on your face, which has been so present throughout the evening, begins to fade from your awareness. You're still sitting in the gazebo, still exposed to the winter night, but somehow the cold doesn't register as strongly anymore. It's as if a warm blanket has been draped over your awareness, muffling sensations, softening the edges of experience, creating a buffer between you and the external world. You're withdrawing inward, preparing for the complete internal focus that sleep requires. Your body feels infinitely heavy now, as if you've been transformed into stone, into something solid and immovable. The bench beneath you feels less like a separate object and more like an extension of your own body, as if you've merged with it, become part of the gazebo itself, part of the garden, part of the earth. There's no clear boundary anymore between you and everything else. You're dissolving into your surroundings, becoming one with the winter night, with the falling snow, with the ancient stones and sleeping trees. Thoughts still arise occasionally in your mind, but they're so faint now, so insubstantial, that they barely register before dissolving again. They're like shapes seen through thick fog, impossible to make out clearly, impossible to grasp or hold on to. A word floats through your consciousness. A fragmentary image appears and disappears. A feeling brushes against your awareness like a leaf blown by wind. Nothing stays. Nothing develops into a complete thought or narrative. Everything is fleeting, transient, ephemeral. You have a vague sense that time has passed, that you've been in this garden for a long while now, but you can't remember exactly when you arrived or how long you've been here. The evening has stretched and expanded, filling up all available space in your awareness, making it seem like you've always been here, have always been sitting in this gazebo watching snow fall on this peaceful garden. Your life before this moment seems distant and dreamlike, less real than this present experience of approaching sleep. The snow continues falling, patient and eternal, adding layer upon layer to the white covering that blankets everything. In your drowsy state, the snowflakes seem to fall more slowly than before, each one taking longer on its journey from sky to earth, suspended in the air as if time itself is slowing down, as if the universe is gradually coming to a stop, everything settling into perfect stillness, perfect silence, perfect peace. You become aware of warmth spreading through your body, starting at your core and radiating outward, moving through your chest and into your limbs, down your arms to your fingertips, down your legs to your toes. It's a pleasant warmth, gentle and soothing, not hot, but comfortably warm, like being wrapped in heated blankets or sitting near a gentle fire. This warmth seems paradoxical given that you're sitting outside in winter, exposed to cold and snow. But your body has activated its own internal heating system, preparing you for sleep, ensuring you'll stay warm and safe even as consciousness fades away. Your awareness of the garden is becoming dreamlike now, reality blending with imagination, memory mixing with present experience. You're still sitting in the gazebo, you know that, but you're also somehow floating above the garden, looking down at the peaceful scene below. You can see yourself sitting there, a small figure in the central gazebo, surrounded by snow-covered trees and shrubs, enclosed by ancient stone walls. The image is beautiful, peaceful, like a painting or a photograph, perfectly composed and full of tranquility. Then the perspective shifts again, and you're back in your body, feeling the bench beneath you, the cold air on your face. But everything is softer now, less distinct, as if you're experiencing it through layers of cotton wool or gauze. Sensations reach you muted and gentle, requiring no response, demanding no attention. They simply arise and pass away, waves lapping at the shore of your consciousness, unable to disturb the deep stillness that has settled over you. A memory surfaces, though you're not sure if it's a real memory or something your drowsy mind is creating. You remember being a child, very young, lying in bed at night while snow fell outside your window. You remember feeling safe and warm under your covers, listening to the quiet house around you, knowing your parents were nearby, feeling protected and cared for. The memory, real or imagined, brings a feeling of comfort, of being held and kept safe, of trusting that everything is okay, that you can let go and sleep without worry or fear. The boundary between memory and imagination, between past and present, between waking and dreaming, grows increasingly blurred. You're not sure anymore what's real and what's imagined, what's happening now and what happened before. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters except this profound peace, this deep letting go, this gentle surrender to sleep that is happening without effort, without intention, simply as a natural consequence of the deep rest you've allowed yourself. Your breath has become almost imperceptible now, so shallow and quiet that someone watching might wonder if you're breathing at all. But you are. Your body is taking exactly the air it needs, no more and no less, operating on some deep autonomous level that requires no conscious awareness or control. Trust has become absolute. You're trusting your body completely, trusting the garden to hold you, trusting the night to keep you safe, trusting sleep to restore and renew you. The darkness is complete now, both externally in the garden and internally behind your closed eyes. There's no difference anymore between the darkness outside and the darkness inside. They've merged into one seamless whole, one infinite darkness that is not frightening or oppressive, but comforting and safe, like being held in warm, gentle arms, like returning to some primordial space before birth, before consciousness, before separation and individuality. You're aware, in a distant, vague way, that you could still pull yourself back from this edge, could rouse yourself and return to full waking consciousness if you chose to. But you have no desire to do so. Sleep is calling to you, inviting you, welcoming you into its embrace, and you want to go, want to surrender, want to let go of waking life and enter the mystery of dreams and unconsciousness. There's nothing left to hold on to, nothing left to do, nowhere left to go except into sleep. The last few threads connecting you to waking awareness begin to dissolve. The feeling of the bench beneath you fades. The sensation of cold air on your face disappears. The sound of falling snow becomes inaudible. Your body, which has been growing heavier and heavier throughout the evening, now seems to have no weight at all, as if you've become weightless, floating, hovering in empty space with nothing above or below, nothing holding you up or pulling you down. Images begin to appear in your mind, though you're not creating them consciously. They simply arise spontaneously, dreamlike and surreal. You see the garden transformed, covered in even deeper snow, the drifts piling up until only the tops of the walls are visible. You see the sun rising over the garden, painting the snow pink and gold, melting it away to reveal the green life beneath. You see the garden in summer, lush and blooming, filled with color and fragrance, and the buzz of insects and birdsong. These images flow one into another without pause or separation, a continuous stream of visions that are both beautiful and meaningless, both fascinating and unimportant. You watch them with detached interest, not trying to understand or interpret them, just letting them play across the screen of your inner vision like a movie you're barely paying attention to. They're the first dreams beginning to arise, the unconscious mind starting to take over from the conscious, sleep beginning to claim territory that waking awareness is abandoning. You feel yourself sinking, though you're not sure what you're sinking into or through. It's as if the bench beneath you has become fluid, allowing you to pass through it, down into something soft and welcoming that receives you without resistance. You're sinking through layers of consciousness, moving from the surface level of ordinary waking awareness down through deeper layers, through the twilight zone between waking and sleeping, heading toward the profound depths where dreams live, where the unconscious holds sway, where restoration and renewal happen outside the reach of conscious knowing. The garden, your faithful companion throughout this evening, begins to fade from your awareness. The gazebo where you've been sitting becomes less substantial, less real, as if it's becoming transparent, dissolving into mist and shadow. The snow-covered trees and shrubs, the stone walls, the circular lawn, all of it gradually disappears, not suddenly or dramatically, but slowly, gently, like fog lifting, or like light fading at day's end. The garden is releasing you, letting you go, saying a quiet goodbye as you slip away into sleep. But even as the physical garden fades from your awareness, you understand that you're carrying something of it with you into sleep, into dreams, into the deep unconscious processing that will happen throughout the night. The peace you've found here, the profound rest you've experienced, the connection with stillness and silence, all of this is going with you, becoming part of you, integrating into your being at levels too deep for conscious awareness to track or measure. Your last conscious thoughts are fragmentary, incomplete, like sentences that trail off before reaching their conclusion. You think something about gratitude, about being thankful for this evening, for this garden, for this opportunity to rest so deeply. You think something about tomorrow, about the morning that will eventually come, about returning to your life refreshed and renewed. You think something about how good it feels to finally let go completely, to stop holding onto consciousness, to surrender to sleep. And then the thoughts stop. The internal monologue that has been running in the background of your awareness throughout your entire waking life finally falls silent. There are no more words, no more concepts, no more ideas or plans or memories. There's only nothing, a vast, peaceful nothing, an absence that is somehow also a presence, an emptiness that is also fullness, a darkness that is also light. You've crossed the threshold. You're asleep now, deeply asleep, your body lying quiet and still in the gazebo, while your consciousness has moved into the realm of dreams. The garden continues its patient existence around your sleeping form. The snow continues to fall. The night continues its slow progression toward dawn. But you're no longer aware of any of this. You've gone somewhere else, somewhere internal and private, somewhere only you can go. The secret country of sleep that each of us visits alone every night. Your breathing in sleep is different from your breathing while awake or resting. It's deeper, more regular, following a steady rhythm that never varies. In and out, in and out. Your chest rises and falls, rises and falls, a gentle motion that is the only sign of life visible in your still form. Your face has become completely relaxed, all tension drained away, your features soft and peaceful. If anyone could see you now, they would see a person at complete rest, utterly surrendered to sleep, safe and peaceful in this unlikely sanctuary. The snow accumulates on the gazebo roof, on the bench beside where you lie, on the ground all around. The garden becomes quieter still, as if it too is sleeping, as if the whole world is sleeping, as if there's nothing awake anywhere except the falling snow and the turning of the earth and the slow passage of time that moves forward regardless of whether anyone is conscious to mark its passing. Deep in your sleeping mind, dreams begin to form. At first, they're simple, abstract, just patterns and colors, and vague feelings that arise and dissolve without narrative or meaning. Gradually, they become more complex, more story-like, though with the strange logic that dreams always have, where impossible things happen naturally, where time moves in unexpected ways, where people and places transform without warning or explanation. You dream of the garden, but it's not quite the same garden where your body lies sleeping. In the dream, the garden is larger, more expansive, with sections you didn't see during your waking exploration. There are fountains flowing with water that somehow isn't frozen despite the snow and cold. There are people in the garden, though their faces are indistinct, blurred, impossible to focus on. They move through the space peacefully, each one on their own journey, each one finding their own place to rest. In the dream, you can fly, lifting easily off the ground and rising above the garden, seeing it from above in perfect detail. The layout makes sense from this aerial view, the way everything is connected, the way each section relates to every other section, creating a harmonious whole. You fly over the walls and see the city beyond, Paris spread out below you, beautiful and peaceful in the snow, golden lights glowing in windows, smoke rising from chimneys, the Seine winding through it all like a dark ribbon. Then you're back on the ground, walking through a different part of the garden, one with a greenhouse made of old glass and weathered wood. Inside the greenhouse, it's warm, plants growing in profusion, green and alive despite winter raging outside. The air is humid and fragrant, smelling of earth and growth and living things. You walk among the plants, touching leaves, admiring flowers, feeling grateful for this evidence that life continues, that winter is temporary, that spring will return. The dream shifts, as dreams do, and now you're sitting with someone, though you're not sure who. They're telling you something important, something you need to remember, but you can't quite make out the words. Their voice is gentle and kind, full of warmth and care, but the meaning won't come clear. You strain to understand, to hear better, but the harder you try, the more distant the voice becomes, until it fades away entirely, and you're alone again in the dream garden. But alone doesn't feel lonely in the dream. It feels peaceful, right, exactly how it should be. You understand, in the way you understand things in dreams without needing explanation, that being alone here is different from being lonely. It's a chosen solitude, a welcome solitude, a solitude that allows you to connect more deeply with yourself, with the garden, with the peace that permeates everything. The dream continues to unfold, scene after scene flowing one into another, without clear connection or narrative thread. You're sitting by the reflecting pool, which in the dream is unfrozen, its surface perfectly still, mirror-like, reflecting the sky above with such clarity that you can't tell where water ends and sky begins. You see yourself reflected in the water, but the reflection is somehow more real than your actual self, more solid, more present, looking back at you with eyes full of wisdom and compassion. You're walking through falling snow, but the flakes don't melt when they land on you. Instead, they accumulate, covering you gradually until you're entirely white, indistinguishable from the snowy landscape around you. But this doesn't frighten you. It feels like becoming part of something larger, like dissolving into the winter itself, like returning to some source from which you came and to which you'll eventually return. You stand perfectly still and let the transformation complete itself, becoming snow, becoming winter, becoming stillness itself. The dream shifts again, and now you're lying down in the gazebo, which is exactly what your sleeping body is actually doing, though your dreaming mind doesn't make this connection. In the dream, you're aware of being perfectly comfortable, perfectly safe, held and protected by the garden and the night. You can feel the peace seeping into you, healing old wounds, soothing old pains, restoring parts of yourself that have been depleted or damaged by the challenges of life. In the dream, figures begin to appear around you, though they remain at the edges of your vision, impossible to see clearly if you try to look directly at them. They feel protective, guardian-like, as if they're watching over your sleep, ensuring nothing disturbs your rest. You understand, though no one tells you, that these figures represent all the people throughout history who have ever needed rest, who have ever sought sanctuary, who have ever found peace in gardens and quiet places. They're your companions in the universal human need for refuge and restoration. Time in the dream becomes even more fluid and strange than it usually is in dreams. Hours pass in seconds. Seconds stretch into hours. You're simultaneously experiencing a single moment and an entire lifetime. You're a child again. You're elderly. You're the age you are now. You're ageless and eternal. Past and future collapse into an eternal present where everything that has ever happened and will ever happen is occurring simultaneously. Dream becomes less visual and more felt, less about specific images and more about sensations and emotions. You feel a profound sense of belonging, of being exactly where you're meant to be. You feel connected to everything, to the garden and the snow and the earth and the sky and all living beings everywhere. The usual sense of separation, of being an isolated individual cut off from everything else, dissolves completely. You are the garden, and the garden is you. You are the snow, and the snow is you. You are the night, and the night is you. Boundaries disappear, distinctions fade, and what remains is just pure being, pure existence, pure consciousness, without any object. This state of consciousness, if it can even be called consciousness, since there's no self present to be conscious of anything, is both profound and simple, both extraordinary and completely ordinary. It's like returning home after a long journey, like remembering something you always knew but had temporarily forgotten, like seeing clearly for the first time after living your whole life in fog. It's deeply peaceful, deeply restful, the ultimate form of rest that goes beyond mere physical relaxation into something that touches the very core of your being. And then, gradually, this too begins to fade. The dreams become less intense, less vivid, less meaningful. You're drifting now through the lighter stages of sleep, the cycles that come and go throughout the night, moving from deep sleep toward something closer to waking, though not waking yet, not quite yet. The dreams become more mundane, more connected to ordinary life and daily concerns. You dream about things you need to do, people you know, places you've been. The profound, mystical quality of the deeper dreams has given way to the more prosaic work that sleep does, processing the experiences of the day, consolidating memories, working through problems and concerns. Your sleeping body shifts slightly on the bench, adjusting its position without waking, seeking greater comfort. The movement is small, unconscious, automatic, your body taking care of itself even while your conscious mind is absent. You settle again into stillness, into the deep rest that your body needs, that all bodies need, the nightly restoration that allows life to continue, that repairs damage and strengthens systems, and prepares you for whatever tomorrow will bring. The night continues its slow progression toward morning, though dawn is still hours away. The snow has finally stopped falling, the storm having moved on to dump its burden elsewhere. The clouds begin to break up, and through the gaps, stars appear bright and clear in the cold winter sky. The garden lies silent under its covering of white, everything still and peaceful, everything at rest. Your sleeping form in the gazebo is just one more element in this scene of perfect winter tranquility. One more living thing taking refuge in the darkness, trusting in the night, surrendering to sleep. In the depths of your sleeping mind, there's an awareness that morning will eventually come, that you'll wake and rise and leave this garden, returning to your life with all its demands and responsibilities. But that awareness brings no anxiety, no dread. Instead, there's a quiet confidence, a sense that you'll wake refreshed, renewed, restored by this night of deep sleep in this unexpected sanctuary. The garden has given you what you needed, has offered its peace freely and generously, has held you safely through the dark hours. And so you sleep on, deeply and peacefully, your breath rising and falling in its steady rhythm, your heart beating its faithful beat, your body doing the mysterious work of sleep that no one fully understands, but everyone requires. The garden watches over you, patient and protective, asking nothing in return for its hospitality, except perhaps that you remember it, that you carry its peace with you when you leave, that you return whenever you need sanctuary, whenever you need rest, whenever you need reminding that peace is possible, that rest is available, that safe harbor exists even in the midst of the storm. Sleep deepens once more as the night reaches its darkest hour, that time just before dawn when everything is most still, most quiet, most peaceful. You're completely surrendered now, completely given over to sleep, no part of you holding back or resisting. This is the sleep that truly restores, truly heals, truly renews. This is the sleep that will allow you to wake as a new person, refreshed and ready for whatever comes next, carrying within you the gift of this snowy night in a secret garden at the heart of Paris. And the night holds you, and the garden protects you, and sleep does its mysterious, necessary work, and all is well, all is peaceful, all is exactly as it should be in this perfect moment of perfect rest, in this perfect sanctuary, on this perfect winter night. The hours pass in that mysterious way they do during deep sleep, seeming both endless and instantaneous, both eternal and fleeting. Your body cycles through its stages of sleep, moving from light to deep to dream and back again, following the ancient rhythms that have governed human rest since the beginning of our species. Each cycle brings its own form of restoration, its own kind of healing, its own contribution to the renewal that sleep provides. In the deepest phases of sleep, when your brain waves slow to their lowest frequency, your body does its most profound repair work. Cells regenerate, tissues heal, memories consolidate, emotions process and integrate. The immune system strengthens itself. The endocrine system rebalances its hormones. The nervous system clears away the metabolic waste products that accumulated during waking hours. All of this happens without your awareness, without your effort, guided by ancient biological wisdom that knows exactly what needs to be done. The garden remains your faithful guardian throughout these hours of deep sleep, unchanged and unchanging, patient and protective. The snow on the ground, the stars overhead, the stone walls encircling the space, all of it holds steady while you sleep, creating a container of safety within which your deepest rest can occur. The gazebo shelters your sleeping form from any wind that might disturb you. Its peaked roof keeps fresh snow from accumulating on you. Its solid structure provides a sense of enclosure and protection. As the night slowly, imperceptibly begins its turn toward morning, something subtle shifts in the quality of the darkness. It's still hours before dawn, still the deepest part of night, but there's a change nonetheless. Some quality in the air that suggests the eternal darkness won't last forever, that light will return, that a new day is approaching, even though it remains far distant. This shift is felt more than seen. sensed at some level below conscious awareness, registered by ancient parts of the brain that track the Earth's rotation and the approach of dawn, even during deep sleep. Your sleep begins to lighten in response to this subtle shift, moving out of the deepest stages towards something closer to the surface. The dreams return, more vivid now, more narrative, though still with that peculiar dream logic where impossible things happen naturally and transitions occur without explanation. You dream of walking through Paris in early morning light, the city quiet and peaceful, the streets washed clean by snow, everything fresh and new. You dream of returning to the garden in different seasons, seeing it in spring bloom and summer abundance and autumn color, understanding now that this place exists year-round, always available, always offering sanctuary to those who need it. In your dream, you're sitting once again in the gazebo, but now you're not alone. Others are here too, people who look familiar that you can't quite place them, people whose faces shift and change when you try to focus on them. They sit quietly, each in their own space, each finding their own peace in the garden. No one speaks, but there's a sense of companionship, of shared experience, of understanding that needs no words. You're all here for the same reason, seeking the same refuge, finding the same peace. The dream shifts, and you're walking through the garden with someone who seems to be a guide, though they never identify themselves as such. They show you details you missed during your waking exploration. A small inscription carved into one of the stones in the wall, nearly worn away by centuries of weather. A particular tree whose branches form a specific pattern that has meaning if you know how to read it. A spot where the light falls in a special way at certain times of day. The guide speaks softly, their words half heard and mostly felt, conveying information that you understand without fully comprehending how you understand it. This garden has existed for longer than you know, the guide says in your dream, their voice gentle and patient. It has sheltered countless souls through countless nights. It has witnessed joy and sorrow, celebration and grief, birth and death. It holds all of these experiences without judgment, without preference, offering its peace equally to everyone who finds their way here. You are part of a long line of seekers, of people who have needed sanctuary, who have needed rest, who have needed reminding that peace is possible even in troubled times. The guide leads you to the small enclosed space where the special tree grows, and in the dream, you understand its significance. This tree was planted in memory of the gardener who first created this sanctuary, the guide explains. They understood something important about human nature, about our need for places apart, for refuges from the world's demands. They created this garden as a gift to the future, to people they would never meet, people like you who would one day need exactly what this place offers. You feel moved by this in the dream, touched by the thoughtfulness of someone who lived long ago, who created something beautiful and peaceful, not for their own benefit, but for the benefit of strangers yet unborn. It speaks to something profound about human nature, about our capacity for generosity, for long-term thinking, for creating things that will outlast us and benefit people we'll never know. The dream fades, and you drift into a lighter stage of sleep, closer now to the surface, closer to waking though still deeply asleep. The stars above the garden have wheeled through their courses, following the turning of the earth, shifting their positions in the sky. The constellations that were overhead earlier in the night have moved westward, while new patterns have risen in the east. The moon, which set hours ago, is long gone, leaving the stars to shine with full brilliance in the unpolluted winter sky. Inside your sleeping mind, awareness begins to stir. It's not waking yet, not conscious thought, but something preliminary to waking, a first lightening of the deep darkness of sleep. You remain motionless on the bench, your breathing unchanged, your body still fully at rest, but something in the quality of your sleep has shifted. The cycles are moving you naturally toward morning, toward the eventual return of consciousness, preparing you gradually for the transition back to waking life. You dream again, and this time the dreams have a different quality, lighter, more superficial, more connected to ordinary reality. You dream of waking up, though you're still actually asleep. In the dream, you open your eyes and see the garden in early morning light, everything bathed in the soft blue glow that comes just before sunrise. The snow is pristine and undisturbed, sparkling with frost crystals that catch what little light there is. The air is achingly cold and clear, so transparent it seems you could see forever if there weren't walls enclosing the space. In the dream, you stand and stretch, feeling wonderfully rested, feeling more refreshed than you've felt in years, perhaps more refreshed than you've ever felt. Your body feels light and strong, your mind clear and calm, your heart full of peace and gratitude. You look around the garden one last time, committing every detail to memory, knowing you'll carry this place with you always, knowing you can return here in your mind whenever you need to, that the sanctuary exists not just in this physical location, but within you, accessible through memory and imagination whenever life becomes too demanding. The dream, you walk slowly through the garden, retracing the paths you explored earlier, saying a silent goodbye to each section, each feature. The grove of fruit trees, standing patient and bare in winter dormancy. The pergola with its statue of the contemplative woman. The rose garden with its sundial marking time that seems irrelevant here. The reflecting pool with its frozen surface. The evergreens maintaining their vigil of green life through the cold months. And finally, the small gate leading to the private space where the special tree grows in solitude and honor. You pause at the main entrance, the weathered wooden door through which you first entered the garden hours and hours ago, though it seems like both minutes and years have passed since then. Your hand rests on the iron handle, but you don't turn it yet. You stand for a moment in the threshold, in that liminal space between inside and outside, between sanctuary and world, between this experience and whatever comes next. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with the cold, clean air one last time, feeling the peace of the garden settle into your bones, your blood, your very cells. Thank you, you whisper in the dream, though you're not sure exactly who or what you're thanking. The garden itself, perhaps, the unknown gardener who created it, the night that held you safely, the snow that fell so gently, sleep that restored you, life that brought you to this place at this time, all of it deserving gratitude, all of it contributing to this experience of profound rest and renewal. And then, in the dream, you open the door and step through, out of the garden, and into a narrow passage that leads back to the streets of Paris. The door closes softly behind you, and you hear the gentle click of the latch settling into place. You walk down the passage toward the street, each step taking you further from the sanctuary, closer to the ordinary world with all its noise and activity and demand. But you're not sad to be leaving. You're ready now. The garden has given you what you needed, and now it's time to return, to take what you've received and bring it back into your life. The dream begins to fade, dissolving like mist in morning sunlight, and you drift again into deeper sleep. This last descent before the final rise toward waking. This is the most restful part of the night in some ways, this last hour or two of sleep when the deepest rest has already occurred. And the body is simply enjoying the peace, simply floating in the comfort of continued rest, not ready yet to face the day, but no longer needing the profound restoration of the earlier hours. In the real garden, the one where your actual body lies sleeping, the first suggestions of dawn begin to appear in the eastern sky, though it's still too dark to call it morning. The stars are still visible, still bright, but the quality of the darkness has changed. It's no longer the deep, absolute darkness of midnight, but something lighter, something anticipating the sun that will eventually rise and transform night into day. The snow on the ground seems to glow faintly with some inner light, as if it's absorbed all the starlight and moonlight of the night and is now reflecting it back. Your body, responding to ancient biological rhythms, begins its slow preparation for waking. Your core temperature, which dropped during the night to its lowest point, begins to rise again. Your heart rate increases slightly. Blood flow increases to your brain. Hormones shift to wake-promoting patterns. All of this happens gradually, gently, naturally. Your body easing itself toward consciousness, the way dawn eases itself toward full daylight, in stages, in cycles, in rhythms that have been perfected over millions of years of evolution. Your sleep becomes lighter still, hovering now at the edge of waking, dancing along that boundary between consciousness and unconsciousness. You're aware, in some vague, indefinite way, that you're sleeping, that you're lying on a bench in a gazebo in a garden in Paris, that your body is cold and stiff and will need to move soon. But this awareness doesn't pull you fully into waking yet. It's just a preview, a gentle notification that consciousness will return soon, that this night of rest is approaching its natural conclusion. The dreams return one last time, and they're the most vivid dreams of the night, the dreams that come in that light stage of sleep just before waking. The dreams you'll actually remember when you open your eyes. You dream of flying again, soaring high above Paris in the clear winter morning, seeing the city spread out below you like a map, the Seine winding through it, the great monuments and landmarks visible from your aerial perspective. Notre Dame, the Eiffel Tower, Sacré-Cœur gleaming white on its hilltop, the Arc de Triomphe anchoring the radiating boulevards. Everything is beautiful from up here, peaceful, perfect. You fly over the neighborhood where the garden is hidden, and from above you can see it clearly, a square of green within the dense urban fabric, a pocket of nature surrounded by buildings and streets. You understand now how rare this place is, how precious, how remarkable that it exists at all in the heart of such a busy city. You feel grateful all over again that you found it, that you were allowed entry, that you were given this gift of a night spent in peace. The dream flying carries you out over the suburbs, and then into the countryside beyond, over fields covered in snow, over small villages with church steeples, over forests of bare trees that look like lace against the white ground. Everything is beautiful, everything is peaceful, and you feel such love for this world, such appreciation for its beauty, such gratitude for your life and your ability to experience all of this. And then gently, softly, gradually, you begin to wake. It's not a sudden transition, not a jarring alarm or rude awakening. It's a slow emergence, like a diver rising from deep water toward the light, taking their time, allowing their body to adjust, ascending in stages. First comes a vague awareness that you're no longer fully asleep, that consciousness is returning. Then comes awareness of your body, heavy and stiff and cold, lying on the wooden bench in the gazebo. Then comes awareness of the garden around you, real now rather than dreamed, actual rather than imagined. Your eyes remain closed for a while longer, not quite ready to open, not quite ready to let the external world in. You lie still, breathing slowly, savoring these last moments of the threshold state between sleep and waking. This precious liminal space where you're neither fully asleep nor fully awake, but somewhere in between, somewhere peaceful and restful and gentle. Gradually, slowly, you allow your awareness to expand. You notice the cold first, much more pronounced now after hours of lying still in winter temperatures. Your face is cold. Your hands are cold despite your gloves. Your body is chilled even beneath your coat. But the cold isn't painful, just bracing, invigorating. A wake-up call that brings you more fully into your body, into the present moment, into waking consciousness. You flex your fingers, testing them, making sure they still work after hours of immobility. They're stiff, but responsive, moving slowly at first, but gradually loosening as circulation returns. You flex your toes in your shoes, feeling the same stiffness, the same gradual awakening. You take a deeper breath, filling your lungs more completely than you have during sleep, feeling your chest expand, feeling the cold air rush in and wake up all the cells of your body. And then, finally, you open your eyes. The first thing you see is the peaked roof of the gazebo above you. its dark wood outlined against the pre-dawn sky. The sky is that particular shade of deep blue that comes just before sunrise, no longer black, but not yet light, holding a luminous quality that suggests the day waiting to be born. A few stars are still visible, the brightest ones clinging to the fading night, but most have already disappeared into the approaching dawn. You sit up slowly, carefully, your body stiff from hours of lying in one position in the cold. Everything protests a little, muscles and joints, complaining about the unusual treatment they've received. But nothing hurts badly. You're just stiff, just cold, just in need of movement to restore circulation and warmth. You stand, holding onto the side of the gazebo for support at first, waiting for the momentary dizziness of standing after lying down for so long to pass. Once you're steady, you step down from the gazebo onto the snowy lawn. The snow crunches under your feet, much firmer now than it was last night, frozen hard by the dropping temperatures of the deep night. You look around the garden, seeing it in this new light, this pre-dawn glow that reveals it differently than the darkness of night or the brightness of day would. Everything is shades of blue and gray and white, a limited palette that somehow makes everything more beautiful, more essential, more true. The garden is utterly silent, more silent than it was even during the night. Not a breath of wind disturbs the air, not a sound comes from beyond the walls, not even a bird sings, yet to herald the approaching dawn. It's as if the whole world is holding its breath, waiting for the sun to rise, waiting for the day to officially begin. Poised in that perfect moment of anticipation before transformation, you walk slowly through the garden, your body gradually loosening as you move, warmth beginning to return to your limbs. You visit each section again, seeing it now in morning light, or at least in pre-morning light. Everything looks different than it did last night, yet also the same, as if each feature of the garden has both a nighttime identity and a daytime identity, both a darkness self and a lightness self. You return to the grove of fruit trees and stand among them, looking up at their bare branches against the lightening sky. You imagine them covered in blossoms. Imagine the bees that will visit those blossoms. Imagine the fruit that will develop and ripen. Imagine the cycle of seasons turning and turning, bringing eternal change and eternal return. You feel connected to this cycle, part of it not separate from nature, but woven into its patterns, subject to its rhythms, participating in its endless dance of life and death and rebirth. You walk to the pergola and stand before the statue of the contemplative woman. In this pre-dawn light, she looks more real than she did last night, more alive, as if she might at any moment lower her hand from her chest and turn her face toward you and speak. But she remains still, frozen in her eternal moment of quiet reflection, offering her silent teaching about the value of contemplation, about the importance of inner focus, about the need to sometimes withdraw from the world and turn attention inward. You visit the rose garden and the sundial, understanding now that time, which the sundial measures, is both real and unreal, both important and irrelevant. Clock time matters in the practical world of schedules and appointments, but in the deeper reality of experience, time is fluid, elastic, subject to consciousness, rather than objective and absolute. The hours you've spent in this garden have been both endless and instantaneous, both a lifetime and a moment. The sundial can measure hours, but it cannot measure experience, cannot capture the quality of time, only its quantity. You walk to the reflecting pool, still frozen, still covered with snow, but you imagine it in summer, filled with clear water that reflects the sky and the clouds and whatever birds might fly overhead. You imagine kneeling beside it, seeing your own face reflected back at you, recognizing yourself, accepting yourself, making peace with who you are and who you're not, who you've been and who you're becoming. You make your way to the small gate that leads to the private space where the special tree grows. You open the gate and step inside, standing once again with this young tree that has been given its own sanctuary within the sanctuary. In the pre-dawn light, you can see it more clearly than you could last night, can appreciate the grace of its branches, the promise held in its winter buds, the potential for future beauty and growth. You understand now why this tree has been honored with its own space, why it's been given special protection and attention. It's not just about this individual tree, though certainly it deserves care and reverence. It's about what the tree represents, the idea that even small things, even individual things, deserve space to grow, deserve protection from harm, deserve to be valued for their own sake, rather than for their utility or productivity. It's a teaching about worth and value, about the inherent dignity of all living things, about the importance of creating space for growth and development. You bow slightly to the tree, a gesture of respect and gratitude, then step back through the gate and close it carefully behind you. The tree will continue its slow growth, sheltered and protected, adding ring after ring to its trunk, reaching higher toward the sky, extending its roots deeper into the earth, doing what trees do without question or doubt or hesitation. You make your way back toward the center of the garden, toward the gazebo where you spent the night, where your body rested and your mind settled and your spirit found peace. You climb up into the gazebo one last time and sit on the bench, looking out at the garden in the pre-dawn light, savoring these last moments before you must leave, before you must return to your life, before this extraordinary experience becomes a memory rather than a present reality. The sky is growing lighter now, perceptibly changing from deep blue towards something paler, something suggesting the imminent arrival of the sun. The stars have almost all disappeared, overcome by the gathering light. The garden is emerging from darkness into visibility, details becoming clearer, colors beginning to show through the gray and blue tones of pre-dawn. You think about the night you've just experienced, about everything that's happened since you first walked through that weathered wooden door and entered this sanctuary. The initial exploration of the garden, discovering its various features and sections. The long period of rest in the gazebo, sitting still and quiet, allowing your body and mind to to settle deeply. The transition into sleep, the surrender to unconsciousness, the dreams that carried you through the night. And now this waking, this return to consciousness, this preparation to leave and return to ordinary life. You understand that you've been changed by this experience, though you can't yet articulate exactly how. Something has shifted in you. Something has been restored or repaired or renewed. You feel lighter somehow, freer, less burdened by the various weights you normally carry. You feel more present, more grounded, more connected to yourself and to the world. You feel grateful, deeply grateful for this night, for this garden, for the peace you found here. The sun is about to rise. You can feel it, can sense it, even though the sun itself isn't visible yet. The whole world seems to be leaning forward in anticipation, waiting for that moment when the first rays of sunlight break over the horizon and transform everything, ending night and beginning day. You decide to stay for this, to witness the sunrise from the garden, to complete the cycle of your time here by seeing both the night you entered and the day you're leaving into. You stand and walk to the eastern side of the garden, facing the direction from which the sun will rise. The wall blocks your view of the actual horizon, but you'll be able to see the light when it comes. See how it changes everything, how it transforms the garden from its nighttime identity to its daytime self. You wait, patient and expectant, ready to receive this gift of sunrise, this daily miracle that we so often take for granted, but which is actually extraordinary. Evidence of the turning earth, of the great cosmic dance in which we're all participants. And then it comes. The first ray of sunlight breaks over the top of the eastern wall, a single beam of golden light that slices through the cold blue air and touches the snow on the ground, turning it from white to gold. The transformation is instantaneous and miraculous, as if someone has switched on a light, as if magic has occurred. The beam of light expands, spreads, more and more sunlight pouring over the wall as the sun rises higher. And everywhere the light touches, the garden transforms. The snow sparkles with a million points of light, each ice crystal catching the sun and reflecting it back. The trees and shrubs, which were mere dark shapes in the pre-dawn dimness, now reveal their true colors and forms. The stone walls, which were gray and shadowed, now show their warm tones, the subtle variations in the stone, the beautiful textures created by centuries of weathering. The entire garden comes alive, shifts from the quiet mystery of night into the clear reality of day. You watch this transformation with wonder, with awe, with gratitude. You're witnessing the same sunrise that has occurred every day since the earth began its spinning, the same daily miracle that will continue long after you're gone. But in this moment, it feels new, feels unique, feels like it's happening just for you. A special gift, a benediction, a blessing. The light touches your face, and you close your eyes, feeling the warmth of it, feeling the promise it carries, feeling hope and renewal, and the possibility of new beginnings. When you open your eyes again, the garden is fully illuminated, bathed in golden morning light. The long shadows of early morning stretch across the snow, creating beautiful patterns of light and dark. The sky has transformed from deep blue to pale blue to a brilliant azure, and it's so clear, so transparent, that it seems infinite, seems to go on forever into depths of space and time that the mind cannot comprehend. You realize it's time to go. The night is over. Your vigil is complete. Your rest has been accomplished. The garden has given you everything it has to give, and now it's releasing you, sending you back into the world refreshed and renewed, carrying with you the peace you found here. You take one last look around, committing everything to memory, knowing you'll return to this place in your mind many times in the days and weeks and years to come. You walk slowly toward the entrance, the weathered wooden door through which you entered last night. Your footprints from the night before are still visible in the snow, though partially filled in and frozen hard. You make new prints beside them, completing the circuit, closing the loop. At the door, you pause and turn back, looking at the garden one final time in morning light, saying a silent goodbye, whispering a quiet thank you. You open the door and step through into the narrow passage beyond. Behind you, the door closes with a soft click, final and gentle. You walk down the passage toward the street, and with each step, the garden recedes further behind you, becomes more distant, transitions from present reality to recent memory. But you know it's still there, still existing, still offering its peace to whoever might need it, still serving its purpose as sanctuary and refuge. You emerge onto the street, and the city is waking around you. A few early risers are already out, bundled against the cold, heading to work or walking dogs, or simply enjoying the winter morning. The streets have been plowed during the night, snow pushed to the sides, creating passable routes through the city. The world has continued its normal operations while you were sleeping, has carried on without you, and now you're rejoining it, stepping back into the flow of ordinary life. But you're not the same person who walked these streets last night, searching for something you couldn't name, feeling tired and overwhelmed and in need of rest. You're someone who has been given the gift of deep peace, someone who has discovered a sanctuary, someone who has remembered how to rest, how to be still, how to simply exist without needing to do or achieve or produce. This knowledge, this experience, is yours now to keep, to carry with you, to draw upon whenever life becomes too demanding. You begin walking through the snowy streets of Paris, heading back toward wherever you're staying, ready now to continue your life, ready to face whatever challenges await you, fortified by the deep rest you've experienced, strengthened by the peace you've found. The morning is cold and bright. The city is beautiful in its winter dress, and you are alive, awake, present, grateful. As you walk, you think about the garden one more time, about how it will continue to exist whether you visit it again or not, about how it will offer its peace to others who need it, about how sanctuaries like this exist everywhere if we know how to look for them, if we're open to finding them. And you understand that the most important sanctuary isn't a physical place at all, but the capacity for peace that exists within each of us, the still point at the center of our being that is always quiet, always calm, always at rest regardless of what's happening in our external circumstances. The garden taught you this, or perhaps reminded you of something you already knew but had forgotten. And now, carrying this knowledge, carrying this experience, carrying this peace, you continue your walk through the winter morning in Paris, ready for whatever comes next, open to the day, grateful for the night, blessed by the memory of a snowy evening in a secret garden, a hidden sanctuary, a place of profound rest at the heart of the city. And somewhere behind you, enclosed by ancient stone walls, the garden continues its patient existence, waiting for the next weary soul who will find the weathered wooden door, who will turn the iron handle, who will step through into sanctuary, who will discover the peace that is always available, always waiting, always ready to embrace anyone who needs refuge from the world. The story ends, but the peace continues. The night is over, but its gifts remain. The garden is behind you, but its memory is within you. And wherever you go from here, whatever you do, whoever you become, you will always carry with you the gift of this snowy night in Paris, this time of deep rest, this experience of profound peace in a hidden garden at dusk that stretched into night and ended in the golden light of a winter dawn. Sleep well, rest deeply, and may you always find sanctuary when you need it. May you always remember that peace is possible. May you always know that you are worthy of rest, worthy of care, worthy of the gentle holding that the garden offered so freely, so generously, so completely. Good night, or good morning, or good whenever you are listening to this. May your sleep be as deep and restorative as the sleep in the garden. May your rest be as complete and renewing as the rest beneath the gazebo's roof. May you wake refreshed and restored, ready for life, grateful for peace, carrying within you always the memory of this journey, this story, this snowy night in a secret sanctuary at the heart of Paris. Thank you for spending this time with me, for allowing me to guide you through this garden, through this evening, through this experience of rest and peace. I hope you found what you were seeking. I hope you discovered the sanctuary you needed. I hope you remember that peace is always available, that rest is always possible, that you deserve both, always. Sweet dreams, peaceful sleep, and may you wake with joy in your heart and peace in your soul, carrying with you always the gifts of this night, the blessings of this garden, the memory of this perfect winter evening when you found refuge from the world and remembered how to rest. The garden awaits your return whenever you need it. The door is always there, always unlocked, always open to those who seek sanctuary. And until you return, may you carry its peace with you. May you remember its lessons. May you know in your deepest heart that you are held, you are safe, you are loved, you are home. Good night, sleep well, rest peacefully, and may all be well with you now and always. This is Emma ASMR, wishing you the deepest, most restful sleep and the sweetest, most peaceful dreams. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing yourself this time to rest. Until next time, sleep well.